Lesson 95. I am one self, united with my Creator. Welcome to the Qigong support. I am Judith and you are at the Lucid Mind Center. We're going to read the A Course in Miracles lesson together, and we are also going to contemplate while we are reading it. At the end, I'm going to guide you to a Qigong class which is specifically suited for this particular lesson, which is going to help you anchor the idea of today in your awareness. In the Qigong class, I'm going to remind you to remember your lesson, and I'm also going to remind you to listen to your holy self once we are connected through our central channel with the universe and with the earth, understanding what role our body plays in all this, and once we have opened up our mind to the inspiration of the universal intelligence, if you will, to the inspirations of our Holy Spirit or Holy Self, higher consciousness. And I will remind you to open yourself up to this particular message, and you will receive a message which is tailor-made for you by your higher self, by your higher consciousness, which is going to translate the message to you in a way which you can understand the best way. Before we start, please subscribe to my channel. And at the end of this class, of this reading, and at the end of the Qigong class, let me know how this Qigong was for you, what kind of ideas have come to you, and also let me know how long you've been with A Course in Miracles and where you're watching from. Let's begin. Lesson 95. I am one self, united with my Creator. Today's idea accurately describes you as God created you. You are one within yourself and one with Him. Yours is the unity of all creation. Your perfect unity makes change in you impossible. You do not accept this, and you fail to recognize it must be so only because you believe that you have changed yourself already. You see yourself as a ridiculous parody of God's creations. Weak, vicious, ugly and sinful, miserable and beset with pain. Such is your version of yourself, a self divided into many warring parts, separate from God and tenuously held together by its erratic and capricious maker to which you pray. It does not hear your prayers, for it is deaf. It does not see the oneness in you, for it is blind. It does not understand you are the Son of God, for it is senseless and understands nothing. We will attempt today to be aware only of what can hear and see and what makes perfect sense. We will again direct our exercises towards reaching your one self, which is united with its Creator. In patience and in hope, we try again today. The use of the first 5 minutes of every waking hour for practicing the idea for the day has special advantages at the stage of learning in which you are at present. It is difficult at this point not to allow your mind to wander if it undertakes extended attempts. You have surely realized this by now. You have seen the extent of your lack of mental discipline and of your need for mind training. It is necessary that you be aware of this, for it is indeed a hindrance to your advance. And this is like the first part of this Course in Miracles, is that mind training, to realize that our mind is wandering off all the time. Our ego mind, our monkey mind, is constantly wandering off in that ego labyrinth and gets lost in there. So we need those hourly signposts to remind ourselves of where we are actually walking towards, what are the thoughts and the awareness that we are actually choosing to have. Frequent but shorter practice periods have other advantages for you at this time. In addition to recognizing your difficulties with sustained attention, you must also have noticed that unless you are reminded of your purpose frequently, you tend to forget about it for long periods of time. You often fail to remember the short applications of it for the day, and you have not yet formed the habit of using it as an automatic response to temptation. Every time there comes something up and upsets us, we haven't learned yet to apply the idea of the day to these particular situations which is upsetting us for one reason or another. Once we learn that, once we are able to address everything which is bringing us upset, to actually use our consciousness to remember that we are oneself, that we are the holy child of God, then life becomes different. Our experience of this life on earth changes. Structure then is necessary for you at this time, planned to include frequent reminders of your goal and regular attempts to reach it. Regularity in terms of time is not the ideal requirement for the most beneficial form of practice in salvation, but it is advantageous, however, for those whose motivation is consistent and who remain heavily defended against learning. So what it's saying here is, for us who haven't mastered the flow of going with the flow, we still need regularity. We need to have some kind of consistent reminders to help us remember what our purpose is and of the day, what our ideas, what our lessons are for today, but all together in life to train our mind through 365 days to understand how our mind can be controlled, how our mind can be trained and guided into the right direction. And the Qigong is going to help us return and sink within and anchor those ideas which the Course is suggesting, anchor them into our awareness and anchor them into our memory, and also connect to our higher self and receive clarifications if we haven't yet internalized what the Course is trying to tell us. We will therefore keep to the 5 minutes an hour practice periods for a while, and urge you to omit as few as possible. Using the first 5 minutes of the hour will be particularly helpful since it imposes firmer structure. Do not, however, use your lapses from this schedule as an excuse not to return to it as soon as you can. So just because you have forgotten to apply it for 4 or 5 hours, it doesn't mean that the day is lost. Then apply it in the 5th hour. There may well be a temptation to regard the day as lost because you have already failed to do what it is required. This should, however, merely be recognized. You should just recognize it and then start again as what it is. A refusal to let your mistakes be corrected and an unwillingness to try again. Overrule it. Try again. Start at this particular time. That is just as perfectly as good. The Holy Spirit is not delayed in His teaching by your mistakes. The Holy Spirit, your higher self, your higher consciousness, is not delayed in His teaching by your mistakes. He can be held back only by your unwillingness to let them go, the mistakes. Only if you're unwilling to let go your mistakes can your higher consciousness be held back. If you are willing to let go your mistakes and just recognize them as such, you say, okay, I can see what I'm doing here. All right, no, I'm going to start again. I'm going to use this structure. I'm going to use this advice of this course, which I have chosen to do. And every hour, I'm going to dedicate 5 minutes to the idea for today. Let us therefore be determined. Determination is the key word here. Particularly for the next week or so, next week, for the next 7 days, to be willing to forgive ourselves for our lapses in diligence and our failures to follow the instruction for practicing the day's idea. This tolerance for weakness will enable us to overlook it rather than give it power to delay our learning. If we give it power to do this, we are regarding it as strength and are confusing strength with weakness. When you fail to comply with the requirements of this course, you have merely made a mistake. This calls for correction and for nothing else. To allow a mistake to continue is to make additional mistakes based on the first and reinforcing it. It is this process that must be laid aside, for it is but another way in which you would defend illusions against the truth. Let all these errors go by, recognizing them for what they truly are. They are attempts to keep you unaware you are one self, united with your Creator and one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and in peace. I just want to repeat this. At one with every aspect of creation. What are all the aspects of creation? All the other aspects of creations are all the life you are recognizing everywhere. So any life where there is life force energy in it, it is part of you. In Qigong we call this life force energy Qi. So wherever there is Qi flowing is part of you and you are part of it. It is part of the creation. This is the truth and nothing else is true. Today we will affirm this truth again and try to reach the place in you in which there is no doubt that only this is true. Begin the practice periods today with this assurance given to your mind with all the certainty that you can give. All right? Begin the practice periods today with this assurance given to your mind with all the certainty that you can give. So give it all the certainty, give it deep determination to wanting to understand. I am one self, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and in peace. Then close your eyes and tell yourself again, slowly and thoughtfully, attempting to allow the meaning of the words to sink into your mind, replacing false ideas, and say, I am one self. So here I have got a suggestion for you, as I always do. Please write it down. Take a piece of paper or 3 and write it down by hand. I am one self, united with my Creator, and then add the suggestions to it. At one with every aspect of creation. And while you're writing it, then consider what is every aspect of creation. And limitless in power and in peace. And once you have written it down, write it down on 3 pieces of paper. Put one in your kitchen, on your fridge. Put one in your bedroom. Put one in your bathroom. And write more. Each time you write it down by hand, each time you're going to consider it again, because you have to activate your motoric in your hand, you have to activate your eyes, you have to consider what you're writing. So each time you write it, you are sinking it more into yourself. And then in Qigong, we are going to sink it as well into our awareness. We're going to sink this idea deeply within and allow ourselves to connect to our higher consciousness, to our Holy Spirit, and allow for the clarification to come along with that sinking in, with that awareness that we are connected to our Creator. Repeat this several times and then attempt to feel the meaning which the words convey. You are one self, united and secure in light and joy and peace. You are God's Son, one self with one Creator and one goal. To bring awareness of this oneness to all minds, that true creation may extend the allness and the unity of God. You are one self, complete and healed and whole, with power to lift the veil of darkness from the world and let the light in you come through to teach the world the truth about itself. You are one self in perfect harmony with all there is and all that there will be. You are one self, the Holy Son of God, united with your brothers in this self, united with your Father in His will. Feel this one self in you and let it shine away all your illusions and your doubts. This is yourself, the Son of God Himself, sinless as its Creator, with His strength within you and His love forever yours. You are one self, and it is given you to feel this self within you and to cast all your illusions out of the one mind, which is this self, the holy truth in you. Do not forget today, we need your help, your little part in bringing happiness to all the world. And heaven looks to you in confidence that you will try today. Share then its surety, for it is yours. Be vigilant, do not forget today. Throughout the day, do not forget your goal. Repeat today's idea as frequently as possible and understand each time you do so, someone hears the voice of hope, the stirring of the truth within his mind, the gentle rustling of the winds of peace. Your own acknowledgement you are one self, united with your Father, is a call to all the world to be at one with you. To everyone you meet today, be sure to give the promise of today's idea and tell him this: you are one self with me, united with our Creator in this self. I honor you because of what I am and what He is who loves us both as one. If you apply this lesson correctly, and this idea correctly, and you specifically can apply this when you meet other people and keep this awareness in your mind as you approach them, as you maybe approach them, maybe you're speaking to them, and also if you don't speak to them. Like I have said, if you just go to the supermarket, smile at them and keep this awareness in your mind that you are one self, together, united within the Creator, together. You are actually giving a gift to that person, even if you don't say it, even if you don't know what you're thinking. You are extending the light to them. You're just extending. You're like walking around like a shining light. It is a decision to do this. You see, it's a choice we have. If you forget during the day, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just acknowledge that this is a mistake. Ego again got the upper hand, made me forget. No worries, I'm going to start now. And also if you get into arguments, if you get into upset situations, just stop in them mentally. You do not need to even stop physically. Even if you, for example, have an argument with somebody, you don't need to actually physically say or do anything to the person, but you can just avert your mind. You don't even have to avert your eyes. You can just do it mentally. Look somewhere else and then think to yourself, I am one self and so are you. And we are actually one, part of this one Creator. And sometimes, like I told you already yesterday or the day before, sometimes you'll be surprised just by your momentary instant of locking out of this ego application, this ego lock, just shifting a little bit. Things change. Maybe the other person comes with a different answer. Maybe it comes with a different suggestion, something which you didn't expect. Maybe you hear yourself saying something different, which is diffusing a situation. So it is about learning to trust the light within you, learning to trust that there is another way of dealing with situations than in that ego mode we are on autopilot. In the Qigong class, I will remind you to remember your idea. I will prompt you to remember your idea. And that's why I say it is necessary for you to write this on a piece of paper and maybe put it in front of you while we are doing the Qigong. So I will remind you to remember your lesson, and then I will also remind you to open up your channels to your higher self, to your higher consciousness, to Holy Spirit, to Christ consciousness, to God, whichever word you like to use for that. And I'm going to also remind you to allow the message to come to you, to allow it to sink within you and to spread itself in your awareness of this self as a human on this earth. And for this particular purpose, I am suggesting this class, but if you would like to try another class, you can pick a class from this playlist here, and here is the playlist for all the Course in Miracles lessons. At the end, let me know how this went for you and enjoy.